Hey guys, how's it going? Hi. Welcome. Nice to see you all. Let's see who's in here. I don't see any wrenches yet. So hopefully Jay comes in here and some wrenches. I'm a little bit sweaty and clammy again because I drank some caffeine and I make some really strong coffee and it's got me all jittery again. Sweaty hands. It's really irritating. But yeah. Yesterday I didn't do a stream. Sorry about it. But I think I'll catch up for the outer alchemy stream. Perhaps another day. Yeah, we'll see. I have some things going on, but we'll figure it out. And professional look, yeah, I don't know, I'm just throwing something together, but yeah, so first thing first is I'm going to show a little bit. I have 47 hours left to get to my goal, and right now I am at 33.3 repeated percent, and if you want to help me reach my goal in 47 hours, you can go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV and help me out. Thank you. And today we are going over, this is inner alchemy stream. However, we are talking about some outer alchemy stuff in the inner alchemy stream. Sometimes things like that happen. Sometimes in the outer alchemy stream, we will talk about inner alchemy stuff and meditation and whatever. So it kind of like, it helps to go kind of together, but with the focus on the inner work. So today, ironically, it's inner alchemy stream, but we're going over the laboratory of the alchemist, and there's some few key things in there. Lead to gold, the laboratorium, love that word. And we are going over Gnostic Students, which is online. Gnostic Students, I tend to have a link in the description, so check that out. And yeah, so this is where we are at. Oh, friend report. Hey, what's up? What's up? Nice to see you in here. So in the previous lectures that we have gone over, which is the same stuff, this is gnosticteachings.org, which were about the elements and spiritual growth. So the 4 elements. Ooh, what do we have here? A new subscriber. Oh, hey, Ivory Goats. Thanks for finally subscribing. I've seen you in here like last time or something. Hey. But yeah, so we were doing the elements and spiritual growth. We have plenty of videos talking about that. And then we have the last one was about transmutation. That was a really good one too. And we were talking about how spirituality is based on the transformation of energy. One of the emphasized points of those lectures is that every given element and every given existing thing is composed of 3 components: energy, matter, and consciousness. Okay, and so those three things is actually really interesting because remember in the outer alchemy streams we talk about these sorts of the energy, the matter, and the consciousness. What is it? The salt and the sulfur and the what's the other one? The life force. And they have like the mercury and the there's different ways of saying those three things. So we talk about it in the outer work as well. So when we're separating the plant matter from the essence of it to, like these are the three things. It's the energy, the matter, and the consciousness. Those three things. All things have this trinity from the tiniest to largest. We ourselves are composed of these three components. Only by working with these three in conjunction with each other can we fulfill the purpose of spirituality. We also described how those three components relate to the 5 basic elements that make up all manifested things. Akash, the inner soul, self, the breath, the inner being, the quintessence, the expansive property. Then there's air, fire, water, and earth. So we know the 4 basic elements, and then there's that 5th one, the Akash. The 5 elements are sometimes simplified to just 4, the air, fire, water, and earth, which is what most of us are familiar with. I think I may have to close windows. It's getting really loud. Look, what the fuck sound is that? What even is that? Anyway, the 4 elements are ultimately only... Wait... 5 elements, sometimes simplified to air, fire, earth, water. These 4 elements in spirituality do not refer merely to physical elements. They refer to spiritual and psychological elements as well. The elements also are composed of those 3 primary factors: matter, energy, and consciousness. So the elements are also composed of those 3 things. There's a physical matter, there's an energy to the 4 elements, and there's a consciousness to the 4 elements. The 4 elements are ultimately only manifestations of one element. They are particularizations, condensations, or crystallizations of a more primordial raw matter energy consciousness. In Hinduism, that fundamental source is called Prakriti. In Hebrew, it is Sheshana. In English terms, we would call it Divine Mother. In Latin, it is matter. Mater? Mater. It is mater. And it is where we get the word matter. Okay. This word has in its construction the root term or phrase ma, which is universally the word for mother. The 4 elements, air, fire, water, and earth, are particularizations or condensations of the body of the Mother Nature. Ma, matter. Ama, mother, matter. These are all the same things. Our physical body is a very gross level or dense level of the condensation of the 4 elements that emerged into existence because of a physical mother. But that ability for that physical body to exist, even though it is composed of these 4 elements and they came through a physical mother, is only possible because of a cosmic mother, our individual inner mother, she who gave us these forces and energies to work with. That primordial source can also be called Kundalini in Sanskrit, but we also have to understand the use of the word Kundalini because in us it is not active, it is latent, it is asleep. This is why Kundalini is depicted in ancient religions as a sleeping serpent, a force that is not yet activated, not yet awakened. But it is the very power or energy of the Divine Mother, and it is why she is always represented with a serpent. My particular favorite representation of that force is the Divine Mother Athena, or Minerva, whose symbol is the serpent. She wears a serpent and she commands the serpent, and oftentimes you see her with the serpent in her hand. That serpent represents the power of nature, her power that in us is asleep, not yet activated. The power is the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. It is the cyclical power of nature, which, as the root of all things, can be found in all things, but particularized in different ways. So yeah, you guys know what the Ouroboros is, right? Let's see. Let's get this. So it's like this Mother Nature circle of life kind of thing with the serpent eating its own tail. Oh, we have to do Bing. Yeah, like that's the one. Unfortunately, in us, that energy has been dispersed, misused, and has elaborated on what Greek symbols. Unfortunately, in us, that energy has been dispersed, misused, and has elaborated what in Greek symbols is represented as the opposite of Athena. In Greek mysteries, that oppose is called Medusa, which still begins with M, Ma. Medusa is a woman who fell from purity because of pride, vanity, and lust. Thus, that single serpent becomes many. The same duality of the serpent force can be seen in other religions, such as related to Moses of the Book of Numbers. Because of the ego, the single serpent of the Divine Mother becomes multiplied, symbolized as the serpents on her head. Okay, so like, you know, it's like all things balance is good. So like, I guess the serpent in itself is not, you know, bad. It represents something, but like, too much of it, too much of that divine, too much of it can become a bad thing. And it becomes ego and vanity. And that's how I describe too also beauty, because there's this thing where, you know, with Lady Alchemy, I love beauty and stuff like that, and people need to understand there's a difference between godliness and beauty and like something good, something feminine and good, and then something that is like vanity and obsessed with beauty to a flaw, when that's not godliness. Guys, just so you know, I'm live. We can all hear you. Anyway, so her horrible power is to turn her victims into stone, into earth. In other words, the power of Medusa is to crystallize the ego. The power of Medusa is the same power of the Divine Mother, but inverted. She turns the heroes into stone, into earth, just like the wife of Lot in the Bible, who looks back at the degeneration in her past, Sodom and Gomorrah, and turns into a pillar of salt. Alchemically, this is the same symbol. Salt is a mineral. It belongs to earth. Looking back to the past represents how the ego is attached. All of this is represented in the Arcanum 6. Painting is Caravaggio, Medusa, 1597, oil on canvas. Thank you, Ivory Goats. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Serpents can represent something good, Douglas. They also have the serpent on the Kabbalistic tree of life, and it snakes around. And they also have the snake on the caduceus, which is the symbol for health. They have that on the medical symbols and stuff like that. Who were those people? It was my roommates. Yeah. But yeah, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, and also in the caduceus, it snakes and wraps around, and that represents like balance. It's also kind of like a bamboo, how it can like wave back and forth but not snap. So it's good to like snake around, and you can go back and forth between the good and the bad, not good and bad, but like the dark and the light, like the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy. Like if it's too much pillar of mercy, too much light, then it's naivete and stuff like that. If it's too much severity, you know, you need some light in you. So you need a little bit of both to balance. It's all about balance, and the snake can kind of snake around and represent that on the tree. God, I'm so hungry. I didn't eat all day. Anyway, the Divine Mother, as the root energy, can be called Pakriti, and another word for that energy is Akash, the inner, the inner self, the the spirit, the root vibration or prana, the energy that vibrates in all things, the quintessence. So it is in us, it is in the core of our heart fire, in every atom within us, physically and psychologically. We have that prana within. We have the power of the Divine Mother. The problem is that we have misused and crystallized the ego. We have turned that power into something negative. The power of Medusa is very strong in us. That is very true. That is why in the previous lectures we were describing how to transmute, how to reduce elements back to their essence and to reform them into something pure. What this essentially means is that we take that very power of the Divine Mother and harness it, and we pulverize everything that is within us in order to reorder it, reform it, to create something new, something pure, something better. In other words, we withdraw the energy of the 4 elements in order to bring them back into its original source, which is Akash. Oh, I'm so hungry now. Bad idea. I always have to eat before stream. It's such a bad idea. Okay, where am I? Okay. We pulverize everything that is within us in order to reform it, to create something new, something pure, something better. In other words, we withdraw the energies of the elements in order to bring them back to their original source, which is Akash. In the tradition of alchemy, that force is called quintessence, which means the 5th power. It is the 5th element. It is the kundalini. It is the energy of the Divine Mother. In order to do that work, we need a laboratory. Without a laboratory, it is impossible to perform that type of work. We need a place within which we can bring the need. We need a place within which we can bring the needed elements, focus on them, pulverize them, purify them, extract the essence, cast aside what is unneeded and unnecessary, and repeat. And repeat, and repeat. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the alchemy streams, but this is something that is reoccurring over and over again. Solve et coagula. Separate and combine, and you do it over and over and over again. You separate the qualities, discard the impurities, take all the perfect pieces together, assemble them back together, and then you do that process over and over and over again. Not only do we do it physically in the laboratory with the outer alchemy work, but we do it in the inner work within ourselves. We are looking deep within, taking ourselves apart, coming face to face with our demons, discarding the flaws and fixing them so that we can put the good pieces back together and do that over and over again within us so we can perfect our soul, our Akash. Ooh. Okay, so where are we? Pulverize them, do it again, and repeat and repeat and repeat. The 4 elements, through the process of heat and pressure, gradually, with patience, become pure. This means that the power of the Divine Mother grows within us, awakens, emerges, and instead of being a latent and static power, becomes an active kinetic power, something that moves, something that acts. This illustration represents the laboratory we need. Look at how beautiful this image is. Oh my god, I want that laboratory so much. Over here to the left, you can see the alchemist on his knees praying. Looks like Islam there. He's praying. That's his little prayer area. His what is it called? Temple that he's built himself. And then he has an altar and Stunning, stunning, stunning. I want it. I want it. Oh, my eye hurts me. That was weird. But this is stunning. I love this picture so much. I love these old lithographs. This illustration was designed by an ancient alchemist, Kabbalist from the 16th century named Heinrich Kunrath. He was a great alchemist and great Kabbalist, a Christian Kabbalist. See that? When people freak out about this stuff and Kabbalah and whatever, and that it's not Catholic, but see, this is the thing. He's a Christian Kabbalist. I believe that alchemy, yes, it has a lot of like Hebrew and Kabbalah and stuff like that, but it has a lot of Christian elements as well. There's archangels, which is Christian. They talk about Jesus, they talk about the Christ consciousness, they talk about a lot of Christian stuff as well. It kind of combines a lot of like ancient teachings, but it's pretty Western. Anyway, he was okay. So this illustration was designed. I should close the window and eat. Thank you for that, Ivory Goats. He has the source on the picture in the chat. It's Heinrich Kunrath, Alchemist Laboratory. I don't know how to say the rest of that. 1595. I love that. 1595. My eyes look amazing. Thank you. I put eyelashes on today. I normally do not put full eyelashes on. But today, I put eyelashes on. Wanted to play. Wanted to look cute. Okay, so this illustration was designed by an alchemist, Kabbalist from the 16th century named Heinrich Kunrath. He was a great alchemist and a great Kabbalist, a Christian Kabbalist. He was a European, not a Jew, but a Christian who applied the principles of Kabbalah and alchemy to his Christian faith. That is what I do. He taught his principles through these types of drawings. He hired artists to create them. They are all beautiful, and there is a series of these types of images. One in particular that is important for our work. This one in particular is important for our work because it represents in symbolic form the teachings that only now are being taught publicly in lectures like this stream. The teachings that he was working with and protected were completely secret. He utilized these images both to communicate to other initiates who were practicing this science and also to fish for students, to attract souls who were prepared, who worked with the science, which were very few, and even now are very few. The science was not stated explicitly or given explicitly, but was given in symbolic form, which only the trained could penetrate. Only those who were trained, only those who were given the keys or clues could understand the meanings hidden in these types of drawings. His drawings belong to the Western tradition of alchemy. If you go to a university or school where they study alchemy in a scholarly fashion as history, they will... I always wanted to do that. I looked this up years ago. But yeah, if you go to school that studies alchemy as history, they will tell you all kinds of inventions and theories about alchemy, but it is all garbage because they are not initiated into the tradition of alchemy. Everything the university and library books and websites tell you about alchemy is just theories invented by people who have no idea what they are talking about. Oh shit! They are just spreading their ideas and theories about alchemy, but none of it is what alchemy actually is. Oh, okay, fine. Only the ones who have been initiated in the science, who have been brought into the actual tradition and experienced firsthand, know what alchemy is. There are many famous books, websites, and movies that claim to teach alchemy and talk about the beautiful and fantastic things, yet they are all wrong. Their theories can be very beautiful, very compelling, and move your heart, but be completely wrong. I mean, I can understand this too, because a lot of the times it's like, you have to think about in context what he's saying. Maybe there is a lot of like hogwash. Sometimes I see a lot of hippy-dippy bullshit versions of alchemy, which I'm seeing more and more lately. And there's all sorts of like, hippy-dippy new age kind of versions of alchemy happening, which I don't agree with. But I mean, for the most part, it is just trying to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with looking at theories and getting into conversations with other people and discussing things. It's pretty good. You never know. I mean, who the fuck are you? Why do you have all the answers? Alchemy is a science to access the power of the Divine Mother herself, which is a divine power. It is not given to the profane. I love that word, the profane. It is not given to those who simply are curious. Ever. Even now, in these times in which the teachings are being openly revealed, the actual access to the power is still restrained, and it is only given by one being, God. See, when people talk about this being demonic and stuff, it is given only by one being, God. We talk about God a lot. Only the divine bestows the power of alchemy on the person. No school, no book, no instructor bestows that power. They may open doors, but to actually become an alchemist is a power given only by God. Okay, people? Not Satan, not any sort of weird thing, not Lucifer, but God. It can only be that way. To understand that, we need to know what alchemy means. We need to understand the real meaning, not the meaning that we see in movies and in popular books, but the actual meaning. So to understand, we will study this drawing. I think that's what he's talking about, like movies and shit like that. Sometimes they have like fucking Harry Potter bullshit or something. It's not really what alchemy is. Intention matters. That's right. That's right. Was Da Vinci one? Yes, that's how I got into alchemy. I do believe he was. Cool. Okay. So, lead to gold. Regarding real alchemy, okay, this site quotes this guy all the time. I don't know how to say his name, but it's Samuel Nwur. We need to transmute the lead of personality into the gold of spirit. This work is only possible in the laboratory of the alchemist. Probably the most popular statement that people make about alchemy is that it supposedly was just a farcical belief of a bunch of clowns running around Europe claiming to have the ability to transform crude metals into pure gold. We call those puffers, okay? It's called a puffer, fake alchemist. It's called a con artist. Without question, there were many such clowns. There were people who dressed themselves up to look fantastic, to play the part of an alchemist, Lady Alchemy, who were tricksters who were only trying to get attention or money. Without a doubt, there were many such people. There are many such people even today. The truth is that the concept of transmuting lead to gold was merely a symbol of the actual work of alchemy, which was to transform the base metals, the earth, into pure metals. Symbolically speaking, that earth is us. In Kabbalah, the earth is represented by the Sephiroth Malkut, which represents you and me. So Malkut is, yes, the bottom Sephiroth on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It is the root chakra. It is, Malkut means kingdom. It means the physical world. So it relates to us. That's the first level that we come from. It's the most basic primordial level of, like, living, is animalistic form of living. Most primitive way is through Malkut, and then you like work your way up, snake yourself up that. Our metal, our earth, is very impure. It is very corrupt, very weak, susceptible to many illnesses and dangers, very impertinent, very unreliable. We do not know when we will die. We are very susceptible to illness, coronavirus, weakness, and pain. We have no real strength. We have no real power in the world. The tiniest thing can lay us flat. It's true. A microbe can make us sick and kill us. That's true. This does not equate to strength. This is not a sign of strength or power in nature. It is a sign of weakness. To transmute the lead into gold refers to transmuting the psyche, the mind, the heart, the personality, everything into spiritual gold, a vessel through which the Divine Mother can operate without any obstacle. Samuel says, sometimes they make flaws when they like are doing this transcript, and they make errors in here. So And then I read the errors. Samuel says this work is only possible in the laboratory. Naturally, over the centuries, those who have been curious about alchemy, who have wanted to make gold so they could become famous and rich, have made themselves many laboratories and tried to reproduce the teachings of the alchemist physically by crafting all sorts of fantastic vessels and objects and ovens and limbics and many types of tools that they've gathered together, and as a result we have now our modern science of chemistry. This is what I was trying to tell someone last night when they were asking me about, you know, how I feel about the unintentional use of alchemy such as AI and stuff like that, and I said that a true alchemist is self-aware, as we've learned in these lectures, is in these streams, is about having that self-awareness as you're doing this. It's both inner and outer work, because I told him that he's just describing a scientist, a modern chemist. He's not describing an alchemist. An alchemist works on perfecting not only their experiments but themselves. Okay, let me just check in on you guys a little bit. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so where are we? That's what we have, our modern science of chemistry. We, as a result, we now have our modern science of chemistry. What we have now today as chemistry came from alchemy. You see the words are similar, alchemy, chemistry, alchemy. But the difference between chemistry and alchemy is that chemistry has lost the first two letters, al. If you know Arabic, you know what that means. If you know Hebrew, you know what that means. Ooh, what's happening here? Oh, we have, super chat, great. Oh, hey, fuck Google too. Thank you so much. Wow, $10, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Wonder Girl 60s, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in here. Let me see, where are we? Oh yeah, so we are dealing with alchemy and chemistry. Alchemy, chemistry. So they cut off the al, the al, and if you know Hebrew and Arabic, you know what that means. Al or el means God. Alchemia means to fuse with God, to bind, to merge, to become one. Chemistry renounces divinity. Al. Modern chemistry has created some useful things. We do not deny it, but no chemist is an alchemist. Exactly, and that was my point. I tried to explain to him. I was like, that's a scientist. That's not an alchemist. You need the God particle in there. You know what I mean? Particle. You need the God part in there. You need the al, the alchemy. Oh, that's so cool too, because my Facebook name is Alchemia. So my name means to fuse with God. Cool. Love it. We see here in this image the typical representation of alchemist laboratories that have been mimicked and celebrated for centuries in the West. As many fools, greedy people have wasted their lives attempting to create gold from lead, studying ancient texts, pouring their fortunes into futile pursuits. Thanks, Jay. Jay says I'm like a professional today. Didn't feel like doing my hair. It's still wet from the shower yesterday, so it's up. All I do is put some lashes on, and this because it was kind of cold, and I didn't want to just leave that on. I'm kind of cold. It's a little blazer on. Okay. What we need as a laboratory is not this type of laboratory. The type of laboratory we need is revealed in the next image that we have here, okay? This is the type of laboratory we're talking about. We need a naked angel man with a crown. This painting is also a painting of alchemy, and it represents the great difference between those who are initiated into alchemy and those who are not. This image shows an alchemist in the center, in his robe, who is observing an angel, a woman. Oh, it's a woman. She is seated in a very strange-looking tree. My God. John in here said, I'm starting to get it. I'm a goldsmith. It's kind of connecting tonight. And I love that. And that's the thing, is that it's like, eventually it like starts to kind of click, and you're like, I see the associations. I see the elements and things now. Like, I see how it's starting to fit. And I like it. It makes sense. Okay. Excuse me. Let's go to the bathroom. I really want to smoke, but I'm afraid of smoking on camera because my mom doesn't like that shit. Source on the Naked Angel pick. Thank you so much, Ivory Goats. You're the best. Welcome, welcome. Please DM me if you are in... Yes, I'm in New York. Please DM me, actually, if you're on Twitter or something. My handle is in the description. It's Martina Markota or Lady Alchemy 33. And I'd like to invite you to a little group of mine that I have, because you seem really cool and knowledgeable. Thank you for the sources on the art pictures. Naked Angel pick. Jean Peril. Dialogue between the Alchemist and Nature. 1516. I love that. I'm in Brooklyn, and that's all the doxing, self-doxing I'm doing. It's the only self-doxing I'm going to do is Brooklyn. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for that. So this image shows an alchemist in the center in his robe who is observing an angel, a woman. She is seated in a very strange-looking tree, and behind the alchemist is a building, and inside the building we see one of those alchemist laboratories filled with all sorts of strange vessels and ovens. This image shows the difference between the materialists, the curious, the skeptics, the chemists who play with physical matter as they pursue their greed, as they pursue their lust, envy, and pride, attempting to play games with the matter of nature, the energy of nature, while ignoring its consciousness. That is represented in that mechanical laboratory in the back. That is why at the bottom it says opus mechanicus, the mechanical work, physical work, literal work, the spiritually useless work. Oh, okay, yes, that's what it says in the laboratory. It says opus mechanicus, so it's like the mechanical work. On the left, we see a woman, an angel, a cherubim, who has on her head a 7-pointed crown and has under her hips a fire. Oh yeah, she has fire underneath her. That is the fire of the divine Mother Nature. That is Prana, Akash, Kundalini. She represents nature, who here is revealed to the eyes of the alchemist, who looks here directly in the face and knows who she is and bows his head. Oh, wow, cute. But you see that his hands are hidden from view. Because the work that he is performing is not visible to the uninitiated. His right hand is hidden, his left hand is hidden, enclosed in the back. Just looking at it. Enclosed in black. The work of alchemy has always been done in darkness, hidden from the eyes of those who were uninitiated. In order to protect it, and in order to protect the uninitiated, because those who play games with this type of teaching can cause great harm if they are not properly prepared. The tree that she sits in represents the Kabbalah, the structure. Yeah, that's what I thought. It looks like the Kabbalistic tree of life, but I wasn't seeing the spheres. But maybe this is the serpents snailing around the tree of life. Let's see what it says. The structure of nature, the tree of life, and the tree of knowledge. And as one works with nature, that is precisely that is what precisely is elaborated and protected, our own inner tree of life. This tree has three roots, a trinity, which are united in one as a fire at the bottom. Okay, that fire is the Kundalini, the fire that gives the power to create life. Naturally, it is the sexual power. Yeah, so that root chakra, the Malkut, the root chakra is the sexual chakra. It's that sexual energy that they talk about. So this image shows us that we need proper instruction, and we need to understand that the work is our relationship with our Divine Mother, nowhere else. Okay, so. How exciting! We're about to get something exciting. Maybe it's Malhut. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know Hebrew, but it's spelled with the K in there, Malkut, and then like TH, Malkut. So I say it that way. But anyway, so this image, actually, I'm going to save it. So this image is from an ancient book called the Mutus Liber, which means the mute book or silent book, and it illustrates the principles of alchemy. So that's my comic book. It's called Mutus Liber. It shows a typical representation in alchemy: a couple, a man and a woman, working with different devices in the process of purifying, heating, and breaking down. Purifying, heating, and breaking down. Purifying, heating, and breaking them down. Purifying, constantly working until new things emerge, and symbolic forms that are hard to understand, that are very dreamlike. At the bottom, we see the Divine Mother as Luna, Selene, the moon, with Saturn. The moon represents procreation, birth, gestation, life-giving. Saturn represents death. Alchemy is that, the death of the old and impure, the lead, in order to give birth to the soul, the spirit, gold. So this is them separating and combining. Separating and combining. Heating and doing and heating and working, and then they like get some shit. Alchemy. El, God. Chemia, Greek, which means to fuse or cast a metal. So yeah, isn't that cool that my comic book has the Mutus Liber in it? So yeah, where am I? Here we see the meaning of alchemy: to fuse with God, to make our metal, our body, our heart, our mind, one with the divine. This is the real meaning of alchemy. And what about the laboratory? Of course, nowadays we take this concept of a laboratory for granted, and we immediately think of people wearing glasses, running around in white cloaks, and usually have a bunch of pens in their pockets, and we think that they are very smart. Nowadays we treat scientists like priests, as if somehow they are better than other people, or holy, or as if they know more than the rest of us. But really, these so-called scientists did not invent science of the laboratory. In fact, the whole concept of science and the laboratory came from the tradition of alchemy. Furthermore, all of the historical scientists were alchemists. Newton, so it's Isaac Newton and Leonardo da Vinci, which is why I got into alchemy, because I studied math and I like art. I became an artist and everything. I was like always into art. So it's like Isaac Newton and Leonardo da Vinci were obsessed with alchemy, and I was like, But anyway, also Galileo, even Einstein knew what real alchemy was. So Isaac Newton, quote from Isaac Newton, love it. Because the way by the mercurial principle may be impregnated has been thought fit to be concealed by others that have known it, and therefore may possible be an inlet to something more noble that is not to be communicated without immense damage to the world if there be any verity in Hermetic writers. There are other things besides the transmutation of metals which none but they understand. In world, the word laboratory actually means something different from what we think it means. It comes from the Latin laboratorum. The first part, labor, means to exert with hardship, pain, fatigue. A work of labor, something difficult, something that is not easy. Without question, that applies to the Gnostic work. It is very tiring, a very exhausting work. It requires great exertion, toil. It engages much hardship and causes much pain. It is not pleasant, but it is worth it. Just like anything good, like working out, like running, like just anything that requires discipline is good, you know. And so that's something that you'll always remember too. With there's something also about what is it called? Alchemy is considered child's play and women's work. We went over that in the Outer Alchemy stream. So the child's play is using imagination. You have to, when you do these meditations, visualize and think and like really manifest through visualization things happening. And then women's work is this repetitive nature of doing something over and over and over and over again. And you know, things can be like not fun, but after a while it's worth it. The second part is oratorum, which means place of prayer. So the laboratorum is really is a real laboratory. So the laboratorum is a real laboratory, is a place of prayer and work. Without prayer or labor, there can be no alchemy. Okay, so the laboratorum is a real laboratory. They made a mistake in this. That sentence doesn't make sense. So laboratorum is laboratory, and it means a place of prayer and work. Without prayer or labor, there can be no alchemy. Love that picture. This image shows a woman representing nature, but she's removing her mask. Oh, yeah. Meaning that he's seeing her true face. The veil of Isis is being lifted. Remember, Isis states, "No mortal can see past my veil," which means that in order to see the face of Isis, you have to become... Can you hear this whistling? This radiator's popping off right now. Anyway, so I'm going to give it a second because it's really distracting. Let me just see where you guys are at. Thank you for that, Ivory Goats. The painting is John Collier, The Laboratory, 1895. Wonder Girl 60s asked, following a recipe and baking a cake is alchemy. I do consider that alchemy. I do. Because, I mean, when I'm cooking, I put my essence and stuff into it. And alchemy is, you know, chemistry is heating things. When you're heating and changing the chemical components of things. So cooking does that, plus you're putting your soul, your energy, your love. You put love into your food, and then people consume it. I mean, that's alchemy. You're changing things chemically and with heat, putting your love into it, and then having it be consumed. I mean, when we do the outer alchemy, that's what we do. We make elixirs, tinctures, all that stuff, and you're creating this thing, putting your vibration, your energy into it, and then it's being reconsumed. So I think so. Let's get back to it. Okay, so we're dealing with this image. It shows a woman that represents nature, and she's removing her mask, meaning that he's seeing her true face. The veil of Isis is being lifted. Remember, Isis states, "No mortal can see past my veil," which means that in order to see the face of Isis, you have to become more than a mere mortal. You cannot reach that state by means of devices in a physical, common laboratory. That is only possible by appealing to the divine and through the application of a very specific and exact science. Thus, labor oratorum. The laboratorum. I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, it has been an hour and I have to use the restroom and possibly a smoke break. So I think this is probably a good place to take our break. And then we have the other half of the laboratorium. I think it's quite interesting. I really like this stuff. So don't go anywhere. We have 35 people in here. Please don't go anywhere. Enjoy the commercial break. Chill. Go to the bathroom. Get your coffee. Do whatever you got to do in the next few minutes. Don't forget Zoroastrianism. Yep. Yeah. Three Magi's, Jesus' birth. Magi's are Zoroastrian priests. All that shit. Like Zoroastrian, totally alchemy connected. Love it. We've talked about that before. We've talked about the Melchizedek and all that stuff. So, yeah. Okay, so stay tuned, guys. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Just a few minutes break. Do your thing. I'll be right back. We're going to talk about the laboratorium. Oh shit, we're back. Alright. Shit. I guess we're back. How you guys doing? Alright, well, talk about the ISIS thing. Guess we'll get back into it. Let's see, we are talking about we're talking about the Alchemist Laboratorum. Just give me a second. Just spoke this real quick. Okay. All right. So this image of the Alchemist Laboratory was drawn by the artist Henrik Kunrath. He did not draw it himself. He did not draw himself, but he gave instructions to the artist who drew this based on those instructions. It is filled with cryptic messages, and we do not have the time in the context of this lecture or the stream to explain all of them, but I want to point out a few of the important ones because they help us understand the teachings of alchemy. Yay, let's go through and see what it is. Stunning little prayer area. Love it, love it. In this image, before a tent is an alchemist on his knees with his hands out praying. The tent is very much like the tents used by the Israelites when they were out in the wilderness. Cool. I love it. Inside the tent, we see a table, and on it are many sacred books. But of great significance here is the posture of the alchemist. Nothing in this image is accidental. It is all purposeful. The alchemist on his knees, as is a sign of humility, obedience. Oh, it's a child. I thought I heard a cat out there. Anyway, so the posture of him, it's a sign of humility and obedience. It is a representation that in order to engage in the real work of alchemy, we have to bow before the will of God. Okay? Again, people who think that this is something bad. A very, very important thing of an alchemist is that we have to bow before the will of God. Not acting upon from our own will, but doing what is required of us by God. Okay? Again, this is a huge thing that people misunderstand about alchemy being something bad, and this is what I have to constantly tell them, is the only thing I constantly see from this is stuff that points to God, and that is doing God's will. His outstretched hands form a crucifix. It is a complete relinquishment of personal will. This represents the full and complete sacrifice of oneself on the cross. Bear yourself on the cross. This is to be crucified on behalf of others. This is to die in order to serve. The alchemist here is, and this, it's also like Jesus, up on the cross and dying in order to, serve. The alchemist here is representing that the basis of the work is. Excuse me, let me say this again. The alchemist here is representing that the basis of the work is prayer, obedience, and devotion. So, yeah. What is it? Aura, reggae, reggae, and Viennis, or something like that. But basically, like, pray, read, pray, think about it, meditate upon it, and you shall discover it. So prayer is a really, really huge aspect. That side of the image, the left side, is the prayerful aspect, the emotional aspect of the work. On the right-hand side, we see the logical, the labor aspect, all the tools that are arranged in the laboratory. And in the middle, we see a table. That is why so many instruments, especially, we see a table that also has many instruments, especially musical instruments. Of particular significance here is that the entire image is topped by a 7-pointed lantern, which I did notice that. It is a candelabra with 7 flames. I knew that was going to be of some significance. Those 7 flames hang from a trinity. So there you see the tree of life, the law of 3, and the law of 7. Those are the forces at work that we need to harness, the 3 and the 7. We need to light those fires in our inner heavens in order to succeed in this work of alchemy. On the left-hand side, we see the alchemist in prayer, kneeling on his cushion. On the very top of that tent, we see a cross, which always represents the 4 elements in activity. The cross represents the crossing of man and woman. The vertical pole represents the active principle, the male, while the horizontal pole represents the passive principle, or the receptive principle, the woman. The cross is also the 4 elements, air, fire, water, and earth. These aspects are all always engaged in any practice of alchemy. Moreover, there are the pinnacle. Moreover, they are the pinnacle. They are the most sacred, and they are must be held very high. Below that it says oratorum, which means a place of prayer. Below that it says in Latin and Hebrew, happy is he who follows the counsel. Yod he vav he. Oh, right, okay. So happy is he who follows the counsel of Yod he vav he. So like God. Yod he vav he is like a way of saying God. That's where like Jesus, the word Jesus comes from. Yod, like the Yeshua, Yod he vav he. That Yod he vav he, or Yod Havav, is our inner guide, our inner divinity. So again, when people talk about like this being something bad, I'm like, there's nothing demonic or bad that I ever see of this. This is all just God or Jesus type stuff. Anyway, so yeah, our inner God, the Yod He Vav He, are the forces of the tetragrammaton that work in us. That is our master, no one else. No one outside anywhere should be our counsel. Our counsel should be God. You know what I mean? Yahweh. Yeah, thank you, Ivory Goats. Thank you, man. Sometimes I need some help with this stuff. So our counsel should be God. We should seek out the guidance we need through prayer, not the internet, not email, not the phone, not over coffee, not in groups, churches, or temples, not at retreats or conferences, but not through streams, but through prayer. Everyone talks about wanting guidance from the divine, but few have the determination to actually acquire it. So people actually stop and pray. This is the message at the pinnacle here, below the cross. We must follow the guidance of our inner master. To do that, we need to pray constantly. Okay. Under that, in Hebrew, it says Ha Kama El, which means the longing for God. That should be our motivation. See, again, when people try to say this is something bad, our motivation is our longing for God, longing for divinity, not the longing for fame, recognition, security, comfort, the longing for God at any price, at any cost. We can withstand any suffering if we hold fast to that longing for God. Again, this is what alchemy is all about. Nothing bad. If we remember our being, constantly focusing our attention on that divinity, we can withstand anything. The problem is that we forget. It's true. We become distracted by our desires, by our 8 worldly poisons, name and fame, gain, and all of the things we long for and desire, and comfort, the security, the recognition, the revenge, the redemption. That is why we suffer. That's true. We do get distracted quite often, and we forget our longing for God. If we really hold fast to our prayer, to the remembrance of divinity, to that devotion, we have a place of solitude, of solace, which is here. This is this area of prayer. So, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's an important aspect. Okay, guys, I forgot to mention, by the way, when we came back from the break, that I am trying to hit. We have 46 hours now. It was 47 when we started. We have 46 hours left for me to reach my goal. And right now I'm at 33.3 repeated percent. And you can help me get to 100% by going to this link down here. It's streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. Thank you. Okay, where are we? Burning inside of this tent is a single flame. Okay, let's look at this again. Okay. Oh, yeah. See, there's the single flame. So, burning inside of this tent is a single flame. That is the flame of the heart. We all want that flame to be enlivened through romance, through the love of our friends, our children. We want the respect of our peers, but all of those are mistaken cravings. Those types of flames in the heart are completely impertinent and unreliable. They do not last. They cannot last. The only flame that can burn in your heart that can last and can actually give solace to the consciousness is the love of divinity, a reciprocal love. That love is always coming towards us, but because we do not pay attention, we do not feel it. If we learn to pay attention, to listen in the heart to sensitive divinity in our presence, that becomes a real living thing, a fire, a flame that you can feel, that can sustain you. But it requires exertion on your part to reach out and to feel it. So that's the whole point of prayer, is to, that love is coming at you, you have to be able to open yourself up and stop and accept it. The alchemist kneels before a table that represents the 4 bodies of sin. The physical body, the vital body, the astral body. Wait, hold on. The alchemist kneels before a table that represents 4 bodies of sin. The physical body, the vital body, the astral body, the mental body. We call them the 4 bodies of sin because with these 4 vessels we commit mistakes and create suffering for ourselves and others. The physical body is the vessel through which we transmit all our energy. We transmute it improperly. The vital body is the body through which energy goes in and out of our psyche. The astral body relates to our emotions. Unfortunately, in us, it has become kama rupa, the body of desire. The mental body relates to our inner Judas, our betrayer, the liar, the mind, the Pontius Pilate within, the part of ourselves which refuses to accept any responsibility for our crimes and always sees ourselves as innocent, just as a victim of circumstances. We are not really at fault. That is what we tell ourselves. Jeez, that is so harsh. Those 4 bodies have to be transformed, transmuted, in order to become a proper table of prayer. So that table of 4 legs becomes the solar bodies. That transmutation is what creates the alchemist table upon which real alchemists can work. The real alchemist in our being The the real alchemist is our being. The real alchemist is God. The one who really performs the work of alchemy is the innermost, the magician, the first-hand card of the tarot. If you study that card, you can see that he stands before a table, and that table represents us. But in us, that table is unsteady, impure, weak. It needs to be transformed and made strong. That is why underneath the table is, in this drawing, we see an ark, and inside that ark is a skull. It is in darkness. Written in Latin, it says, Disc bene more. Spelling. If you know Latin, you know what that means. It means learn to die well. Learn to die well. This is not talk. Wait, let's see. Let's go back up and see it. Hold on. Let me see. Where's the skull? I don't see the skull. Is there a skull in there? Is it underneath the table? I think I see it underneath the table. I see it. Learn to die well. This is not talking about physical death. It is talking about psychological death. The death of those four bodies of sin, so that they cannot be recreated, made into something pure, something strong. The death of the four bodies of sin, so that they can be recreated, made into something pure, something strong, something that that the being can use for his work. Learn to die well. The pose of the alchemist represents the same thing. That is why they are close together. His crucifixion, his obedience, his humility, his prayer, all represents the attitude that we need in order to die well. That is the attitude of submission. We do not like that. Our pride does not like that. We do not want to submit. We want God to submit to us. That is why we pray. We say, God, give me this, give me that. God, I want this and I want that. I'll make a deal with you, God. If you give me A, B, C, I will do this little thing over here for you. I will do this little favor for you. If you give me A, B, and C, we want God to submit to us. This is why we cannot feel God. This is why we hear silence when we pray. God will never bow to the ego. This is not a matter of pride. It is a matter of how things work. The ego is the devil. Our mind is Satan. So you see, they're specifically calling out Satan, devil, whatever it is, calling him out as something bad. So whenever people talk about alchemy as being something bad or satanic, I don't see it. They're telling you to stay away from that. They're telling you go to the light, stay away from the ego, stay away from Satan. The alchemist here shows the proper attitude for prayer. It is submission to God's will. This is why Jesus, again, here we go with the Jesus. See, all good stuff. The alchemist here shows the proper attitude for prayer. It is submission to God's will. This is why Jesus taught his prayer, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That earth is the body. That earth is Malkuth. That earth is us. On the right side of the drawing, we see two pillars, and behind that in obscurity is a collection of books. These two pillars have great significance in all ancient esoteric traditions. True. The two pillars represent the two sides of the tree of life, the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy. This is what I was talking about earlier. These are the two sides of the tree of knowledge, Tab and Ra. These are man and woman, the two sides of all creation, masculine and feminine. You cannot create with just man or just woman. Life emerges when you combine man and woman together. The alchemical marriage. Thus, all life is founded on two pillars, the light and the dark. Behind the two pillars in the back is an oven. This is the furnace. Ooh, there is incense burning. There are tools scattered around, a lute, bellows, tongs. These are all tools for working in the fire. There is a feather hanging in the pillar. So let me check in on you guys. What are you up to? Guys, okay. I only had $10 today in super chats. Someone please help me out and go to martinamarkota.com streamlabs.com/martinamarkota.tv. Please. Thank you. Otherwise, I gotta figure something out. Okay, so I think this is the last section we have. Let me just see. Oh, yeah, I messed up a little bit and I didn't add this to the intro. Yeah, now I've added it to this. Oh, Rainbow, thank you. Shit. Thank you, Rainbow. That's so nice of you. Thank you, thank you. It's always Rainbow. Rainbow and Stephen 4X. Thank you, guys. Sorry. I have a Lady Alchemy gig that, like, I don't know if I'm booking it or not. It's, like, in Jersey and shit. And I have to, like, they wanted, like, 3 acts and all this shit. I was like, fuck, everything's in storage. Oh, we have Wonder Girl 60s. Thank you so much, too. Always here to help. Thank you. Oh, you're always so great, too. Thank you. It really means a lot. God, I wish I could do something back for you guys. But, yeah, like I said, I have this gig, but I think I canceled on them because it's like they wanted, like, 3 performances, and I'm like, shit, I don't have... All my shit's in storage except, like, 1 main costume. Oh, shit.
Always here to help. Face blowing a kiss.
There it is. Always here to help. Face blowing a kiss. Thank you. Thank you for that so much. You guys help a lot. Yeah, so... Yeah, they wanted 3 acts. I have shit in storage. I was like, I have 1 full costume. I was like, I have other costume pieces. I could maybe construct something in a few days, and it's gonna cost me money. So then it's like, then they like wanted to pay me less on top of it, and then it's like in Jersey, and then it's like, oh my god. And I just like talked to them. They're like, listen, we understand. Let's like maybe do the next, like another time, get your shit together. And I don't know. I want to do it. I need like Lady Alchemy gigs. I can't be like saying no, but like I just need like a 1 gig. Like what? 3 performances in 1 night. Jesus Christ. It's a lot. Alright, where are we at? Let's get back to it. Okay, so wisdom and method. What is particularly interesting are the inscriptions at the base of the 2 pillars. On the left says ratio, which is a Latin word that means reason in the sense of logic, method, in the sense of logic, method. If you think of ratio in terms of method, it becomes very interesting when you look at the pillar which says experientia. Naturally, in English, we want to say it means experience, and yes, it does, but not in the way we use it now. Experientia means wisdom. So these 2 pillars are method and wisdom. Anyone recognize that? Any Buddhists here? These are the 2 pillars of Buddhism, method and wisdom. Oh, please, Dan. No. Don't. Yeah, I'm not. I'm really appreciative of people that can help if, they have that kind of money that they can offer it, because I do believe I'm like full on like poverty status right now in New York City. So if you're in a position to help, please help, like by any means. Oh my God, please, if you had some physical, you had an accident, you have physical, things going on, and money's like, I'm not expecting anyone to do anything like that. So I really enjoy your company. I enjoy the comments. We have really, really great people in here. Really smart, It gets me happy to see you guys like chatting about really good conversations. The Yadhe Vadhe, the all these little different conversations. I'm so proud of my chatters. The exchange rate. Oh, Australia. Oh, exchange rate's terrible. Yeah, probably. I think at the UK too. But anyway, let's get back into it. So what is particularly interesting is the 2 pillars. Yeah. So we have the Buddhism, the method and wisdom. Chatters. I knew Jay comes out of nowhere just to like fucking call me out on something silly. I like felt weird saying it, but like chatters. Anyway, so what do we have here? We have the 14th Dalai Lama training the mind. Okay, there are two main aspects to the Buddhist path, method and wisdom. And again, people are freaking out about this. Buddhism is not a religion, it's just a way of being. It's a philosophy, so don't freak out. It's fine. Oh, stop, Wonder Girl 60s. You're so sweet. I wish, like, you know what? Email me. I want to invite you to something. So email me. I come for the kill shots, Martina. Okay. Images of oh, what the fuck is that? Images of Samantha. That's not Siddhartha. That's Samantha Barwa or any great Buddha. Show them in a sexual embrace of masculine and feminine. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, I see it. If you ask any monk what it represents, they say it is the union of method and wisdom, which is how the Dharma is performed. The Dharma? We see the same teachings given here in alchemy, a tradition from the other side of the world, from a totally separate culture. The two pillars, method and wisdom, means that we need a combination in order to build our temple. We need theory and practice. So think about that for a second. Hold on, I'm going to take a puff of this, and you guys think about that. So there's theory and practice. There's method and wisdom. Method, practice, wisdom, theory. Just give me a second. Okay, where are we at? Okay. So we see the same teachings here in alchemy. A tradition from the other side of the world, from a totally separate culture. The two pillars, the wisdom and method and wisdom. That means we need a combination in order to build our temple, our place of prayer. We need a combination of those two things. Our temple. We need theory and practice. Okay, you know what, Infinity? Leave me alone for a second because I'm getting pregnant as soon as my husband gets to America. So, just give me, a few months of smoking. Chill. Okay, get back to it. So, we need theory and practice. We need a strong intellectual culture. Yeah, we do. We need to know that teachings. We need to know the teachings very well, but we also need to be doing it. So you need to know the teachings mentally, and you need to physically do it. So again, in alchemy, it's the same thing. It's the outer work and the inner work. It's the theory, the practice. So you have to do from the outside and the inside. Physically experience it and also mentally understand it. So, we need to know the teachings very well, but we also need to be doing it. These two need to be in perfect harmony, perfect balance with each other. There are many people who read a lot of books, study a lot of theory, study all the methods, but do not actually do it. There are many others who do a lot of practices and a lot of techniques, but never study. Both camps of people will fail. The path of alchemy is extremely precise, more than anything else in the world. It is extremely precise. Our understanding has to be razor sharp and guided by divinity, not our intellect, not our habits. You see, those who lean towards the method like to pick up, those that lean towards the method side like to pick up different practices and appeal to their habits. And those who lean towards the wisdom side, the experientia side, like to read and study those things and feed their intellectual habits and feed their intellectual habits that lean towards their habits of believing or disbelieving. So the intellectual types like to read and study a lot of intellectual things, but they do not like to practice. The believers like to study a lot and build up on their beliefs and make them feel secure, but they do not like to practice and do not like to study and remember things because we are all lazy. Kind of sounds like me. We need balance, and we need to be very critical with ourselves, and we need to see that we are lazy about practice, and we need to practice more, and we need to and if we see we are lazy about study, we need to study more. This is not a game. The future of your soul depends on it. Everything is at stake. Laziness will take you to hell. Laziness and old bad habits will cause you to fail. So these two pillars are very important. Holy shit. That's pretty true. So let's take this in again a little bit. So let's look at this again. We need balance, and we need to be very critical with ourselves. And if we see that we are lazy about practice, we need to practice more. And if we see that we are lazy about study, we need to study more. This is not a game. The future of your soul depends on it. Everything is at stake. Laziness will take you to hell. Laziness and old bad habits will cause you to fail. So those two pillars are very important. That's another tweet right there. I'm going to tweet that. I'm about to tweet that right now. Sorry, tweeting. How do I say the laboratorium? Let's find this again. The laboratorium. How do I spell that? Cool. Let's get back down. Where were we? Okay. Shit. Where were we? No, we didn't go there. No. Yeah, we're here. Okay. So these two pillars are very important. Okay. Okay, in front of the pillars, the very front of the image, we see an alchemist collection of tools that we can call an oven or a furnace. Okay. Comprised of different vessels that are connected together in a strange way. By appearance alone, it does not make a lot of sense. Okay. Written on the center vessel, which is quite tall and very phallic, we see written Festina Lente, which is Latin and means hasten slowly. Kind of makes your brain skip, doesn't it? Hasten slowly. Ooh. And it's supposed to. It's supposed to get you to pay attention, to be present, to be here and now. It is written on a phallic symbol, a sexual symbol, for a reason. It is saying, pay attention, be present, use your energy wisely, do not waste it. Be persistent, work constantly, but do not rush. Work with great caution and care. So this symbol at the bottom front is representing the main mysterious tool of the alchemist that was never revealed publicly, but today we are going to talk about it. I like that. Yeah, hasten slowly. So, Festina, I'm gonna keep that. Keeping that. Stealing that. Ooh, beep, beep, beep. Okay. So we're going to talk about it today. Looking at the entire image, we understand that all of these symbols together hide a great secret, but it is very hard to penetrate it. It can be hard to see, yet this is a very purposeful drawing, and I'm going to show you why and how right now. If you study art, which we do in this channel, on this streaming, if you study art, you will understand that the genuine artist... Sorry, hold on. Just a little bit of noise distracted me. If you study art, you will understand that the genuine artist creates very little detail with a purpose, not like so-called art nowadays, where the so-called artists merely vomit their psyche on canvas, making a chaotic mess that only manages to display their lack of anything useful to say. So there you go. Again, the alchemy stuff is really pretty trad, and it even is talking shit about modern art, you know, and they talk about duality and the genders, and like they like talk about this harmony and marriage, but they're not made up, you know. So a lot of this stuff like really kind of solidifies my political talking points when it comes down to it. So it's interesting to see. But yeah, what are we here? So if you study art, you'll understand the genuine artist creates very little detail with a purpose, not like so-called artists nowadays, where the so-called artists merely vomit their psyche on the canvas, making a chaotic mess that only manages to display their lack of anything useful to say. That is not art. Real art is communication, conscious that delivers knowledge that otherwise is incommunicatable. This drawing is a great example of that. There are many messages here that you will gather if you meditate upon the image, but I am going to give you a hint towards one that has real significance and is quite surprising. I just love this image. I'm going to save it too. It's so fucking cool. Okay. If you study the image, you see that there are many converging lines. It is a very architectural type of image. All of the lines are converging on a single point. Oh yeah, going down in the middle. All the way down in the middle. Yeah, I see it. Okay. The perspective converging lines. Let's see. If you study the image, there's converging lines. It is very architectural type of image. All of the lines are converging on a single point. We call this perspective. Yeah, in art, it's called perspective. Most of us do not pay attention to that. We do not think anything of it. But if you look closely, you see all the lines of the perspective of this image are converging on the very center of the image, passing through an arc of 4 pillars. Yeah. These 4 pillars are the 4 elements. We talk about the elements all the time. The 4 bodies, the cross, the 4 letters of the holy name of God, Yod-Heh Vav-Heh. That has a great deal of significance. The arch above it is the Akash, to which from this trinity at the top, which comes from this trinity at the top. Oh, the trinity is the triangle at the top of the arch of the pillars. Here we see the tree of life. All the lines ultimately point towards an open door, and behind that open door, a bed. Yeah, I do see that. Yeah. Yeah. Why would an alchemist drawing have all the lines and everything in it converging on a bed? Well, now we know why, but for the last 500 years, no one knows why. That's very exciting. We're going to know something people didn't know for 500 years. Ow, my earrings are hurting me. Okay, so why would an alchemist drawing have all of the converging lines and everything in it converging on a bed? Well, now we know why, but for the last 500 years, no one knew why. The bed is where the sexual act is performed. The bed is the heart of the laboratorium, where the work and prayer must be performed, on the bed. Laboratorum, the place of prayer where the work is performed, is in the bedroom. That work is between man and woman. If one is single, one works with himself, with one's own energy, and with one's own divine mother through prayer. These images represent the furnace, oven, athanor, that the alchemist has to use. This is the heart of the alchemist's laboratory. The furnace of the laboratory represents a sexual secret. For hundreds and hundreds of years, people have been trying to build these ovens in their workshops and basements. They are wasting their time. Do you know why? Because every one of us is carrying this oven with us all the time. The furnace is your body. The laboratory is your mind, your heart, your body. The laboratory of the alchemist is this here and now, working with your energy here and now. That is the laboratory. Yeah, so it's like when we come face to face with like the four, what is it called? The four, what is it called? The things, the issues, the obstacles that come your way. When we deal with them, that's a chance to take advantage of using this laboratory, using this moment to come face to face with the struggle that you're dealing with and harness this inner energy, this inner light, and use your furnace to kind of react accordingly. And it makes you better, and it makes you more perfected when you're able to not just like go along with whatever's happening to you, but you're able to use your furnace and kind of use your inner Akash and deal with the situation and perfect yourself. Ordeal, that's what it is, ordeal. Thank you so much, Infinity. Smoking is my ordeal. Seth said this is like the medieval equivalent of Ethan Van Sciver's infamous new X-Men issue. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so for hundreds and hundreds of years, here and now, that is the laboratory. The furnace, the tools are here in the body. The fire burns in sex in the Seraphi Yasad. It is the first fire that creates life. It is the sexual energy. That fire burns us if we do not know how to control it. The fire can destroy us and consume us if we do not know how to use it wisely. That fire must be kept with a gentle heat, with much attention. This is the instruction that Hermes gave in the documents that form the foundation of alchemy. That gentle heat is to keep that fire burning, but low and controlled, not inflamed with lust, not inflamed with desire, not overwhelming, but low and controlled with much attention. In that context, that fire heats the vessel, the sexual organs. It's kind of a cool picture too, actually. Let me say that. Oh, thank you so much for that, Ivory Goats. Thank you. In alchemy, our vessel represented as a clear glass vessel. Within it burns... Wait, hold on. Okay. Within it burns that fire or the water of Mercury. Mercury is a symbol of sexual energy. And inside of this, we see a man and a woman forming a cross. I don't see it in this picture. Where is it? And the Holy Spirit as a dove putting the other element, which forms a six-pointed star. Wait, where is this fucking dove? What are they talking about? I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Where is this dove? And that, of course, is a very significant symbol. It's the rune Hagal. This man and woman represents Adam and Eve within us. Psychologically, They are the channels. Oh my God. These are energies or forces that move within us in preparation for the advent of fire, the awakening of the Kundalini. The fire of sexuality heats up the waters of Mercury and causes steam to rise up the central column of the spine to the brain. That is what is represented in all these images, the awakening of the Kundalini, the energy of the Divine Mother. That energy rises up the spine and awakens the 7 lights on the candelabra of the 7 flames, the chakras or churches that are written about in books of Revelation. Those lights give us the ability to see spiritually. They restore us to the state of Eden, to have that ability to talk directly with God. That does not come when we are seeking only material gold or material success. That ability to see God and talk with God comes through prayer and work. On either side of this oven, we see a man or woman with deep red faces. What are we looking at? Man and woman. Oh, up here. Right. Okay, so here's the vessel, the clear vessel, and the man and the woman, and the dove, and the cross. Okay. Found it. Okay. That's the one we're talking. And the furnace, and it's heating it, and it's going up. Got it. Cool. That's the one we're talking about. On either side of this oven, we see a man or a woman with deep red faces wearing green clothing. Yep. See it. Either side of the oven, we see a man and woman with deep red faces wearing green clothing. This represents the forces of divinity. We call them Shiva and Shakti. These are our inner being and Divine Mother. They are the guides who oversee the process of transmutation within us. In other words, no matter what fantastical ends you may pursue in your physical life to achieve the ends of alchemy, if you do not work in harmony with your innermost, you will achieve nothing. The one who performs the work in you is your inner divinity. That work is performed by satisfying the will of God. And the first will of God is for you to die as an ego and for all of your impurity to be purged. That is what the fire does. This fire boils the water to remove the impurities. The steam rises, not the impurities. What is steam? Water and air heated by fire. Elements. Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, air, wind, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. I, Christ, am come to send fire on the earth. Suppose ye that I come to give peace on earth, your body and mine, I tell you, nay, but rather division between the pure and impure. Luke 12. The steam rises up through the... So again, quoting the Bible and Jesus in this shit. So it's like alchemy, it's like, chill guys. It's totally Western tradition. The steam rises up through the earth to awaken and enleaven the brain, atom, the glands, the chakras in the head, so that is in synthesis the process of alchemy, or the work in the laboratory. It is to work on these forces in ourselves, the harmony with the God, the will of God. In harmony with the will of God. Okay, it is to work with these forces in ourselves in harmony with the will of God. If you are transmuting your sexual energy, studying these teachings, and trying to put them into practice, you are learning how to practice alchemy, whether you are single or married. Your sexual scenario is just circumstantial. The nature of your karma, and that is what you need. wait, yeah, your sexual scenario is just circumstantial, the nature of your karma, and that is what you need to work with. That is what God has given you to work with, so work with it. Either way, single or married, your innermost and your divine mother bring into the laboratory the elements that need to be transformed. Then there we are, the laboratory, saying, no, God, do not want to, no, God, I do not want to work with that. That is not the spouse I want. Wait, let me back this up, hold on. So if you're transmuting your sexual energy, studying these teachings and trying to put them into practice, you are learning how to practice alchemy, whether you're single or married. Your sexual scenario is just circumstantial, the nature of your karma, and that is what you need to work with. That is what God is giving you to work with, so work with it. Either way, single or married, your innermost and your divine mother bring into the laboratory the elements that need to be transformed. Then there we are in the laboratory. Then there we are in the laboratory saying, no, God, I don't want to work with that. This is not the spouse I want. This is not the job I want. I need more money than this. I need better clothes. I need to be living somewhere better than this. I need some respect from friends. I need education. I need money in the bank. I do not want these things you are bringing to my life. I want A, B, and C. Then I will do what you want after that. This is a big mistake. Who in the universe knows better what you need for your spiritual growth than your own innermost? It is time for us to trust our innermost, to submit to the will of our innermost, to accept what our innermost puts in our lives, and to learn to transmute them. This is the basis of alchemy. Oftentimes we talk about alchemy as something materialistic. We think that we merely take the sexual energy, transform it, and then we awaken consciousness. It is not that simple. You cannot get anywhere with just that attitude. The real process of alchemy is to transmute your entire psyche. Where is all of your sexual energy anyway? It is trapped in your ego. It is trapped in lust, anger, pride, and envy. So to free it, to redeem it, you free yourself from suffering. You have to transform those elements. And how will God do it? He will put it in your face by making you suffer. So he says, you see, here is the bed of roses that you made. It is filled with thorns. The life that you are living is the life that you made by your own works. If you want to make it better, accept the guidance of God, the counsel of God. That counsel is, you want to do the work, you want to be an alchemist, you want to be liberated from suffering. Here, deal with this mess that you made. Here is your life. Here are your circumstances. Here is your situation. You made it, fix it. We do not fix it by changing everything in our external circumstances. We change it by fixing our attitude, changing how we deal with other people, how we deal with God, how we deal with ourselves. Those who are focused only on changing their physical circumstances will always end up disappointed. We can never modify external circumstances to our liking because the cause of them is inside of us. If the cause remains the same, the effect will remain the same. Why do we suffer? Because of who we are inside. Our innermost is bringing us our situation, as painful or as difficult as it may be, because we need it, because it is what we need to do, because it is what we need to work on. That is the most important element that we face. We always hear students pray, God, please give me what I need to work on myself, but change this and that. Give me a better job, give me a better place to live, I need a better apartment, etc., etc. We do not realize that our innermost is already giving us exactly what we need. The book Tarot and Kabbalah by, again, this guy they always quote, Samuel on War, wrote, salamanders keep the fire. Undines are within the raw matter, which is enclosed within its receptacle. The undines can help us if we dominate them. If we do not, then they do what they want because they are very whimsical. The syphils make the steam that escapes from the raw matter to rise. The gnomes are in charge of the distillation of the raw matter in order for it to be converted into gold within the brain. That quote is describing how the four elements in ourselves are managed by conscious elements that we call elementals. The process of alchemy is the process of working with the elements, which is what we've been talking about for many streams. Those elements are not just physical matter, they are energy, they are also consciousness. The fire, water, air, earth all have consciousness in them. And traditionally in alchemy, they have these names. The elements of the air we call, I'm going to have, if they're going to keep saying it, I have to look it up. How do I say this?
Sylphs.
Sylphs. Okay, so the elements of the air we call sylphs. The elements of fire are called salamanders. The consciousness of the fire. The consciousness of the water is called undines, and the consciousness of the earth is gnomes, dwarfs, pygmies. These are not invented or made up things. Diamond and sylph. Jay. They are consciousness of the elements. They are inside of us. Moreover, as we explained in the first few streams, all of the ordeals that we have to face in life, all of the difficulties and problems, ordeals of air or water or earth or fire are the activity of those elements in our life. When we are facing difficulties, psychological challenges, our old habit is to complain, and complain in our mind, in our hearts, and verbally. What we are failing to realize is that those problems are exactly what we need. Those problems are the activity of those elements within us and outside of us that are bringing a great deal of energy that if we are smart, we will harness and transmute into something beneficial. I will give you an example. If you are in a circumstance when you have to be very close to someone who is criticizing you behind your back, this can be very frustrating, and it can be a lot of resentment in you unless you learn how to transform it. Ooh, I should teach this to Jack. Okay, so yeah, an example is if you're in a circumstance where you have to be in close proximity to someone that's been criticizing you behind your back, it can be really frustrating and it can build a lot of resentment unless you learn how to transform it. What would be the right way to transform that? Firstly, you can only transform it if you are cognizant of it, aware of it. If you are just being mechanical the way you always are, you will just build up a lot of resentment and you will become angry with the person and you will start treating them badly. You will ignore them. You will intentionally do things to create obstacles for them. You will speak badly about them. You will do all these things mechanically because you are asleep. But if you become cognizant, aware, and pray and remember God, you will remember, God is giving me this for a reason. This person is talking behind my back all the time. They are telling these people bad things about me. What do I do? God, help me. Help me learn to die well. Then what do? We have to learn to treat that person with love because they are helping us. They are showing us our pride. We do not like to see that. We do not like the ones who make us see it. But really, we need that. That person is actually the most important person in our life at the moment. They are doing a service for us that can never be repaid because they are giving us the keys to liberation from suffering. They are saying, here, let me show you your pride. Here is your anger. Here is your resentment. If we act mechanically, we will indulge in that pride and anger and resentment. We will hate that person and we will deepen our suffering and waste the opportunity. If we are cognizant, prayerful, learning to die well, then we can see this person and say, they are really doing me a favor. Look at my pride. Let me feel that. Let me see it. Let this be the last time I suffer with this pride. Let it die. Then we can respond to that person with kindness, with gratitude, with love. Jay? There's a lot of people that we talk about in our little secret group chat that is like, I could be taking this advice. So I'll try to learn. What will happen to that situation? It will be transformed completely. And this is the type of attitude we need to generate in all of our circumstances. This is how we take advantage of the energy that the elementals put into motion. Our innermost being is orchestrating all of these circumstances in our life in order to put these things into our face. And it happens with the help of the elementals inside of us and around us. So we need to learn how to transform that energy, to have a better attitude, learn to accept with gratitude all of the unpleasant manifestations of our fellow men and women, receive them gracefully, because they are the keys to awakening. The problems of our lives, the adversaries, the obstacles, the pain and suffering are exactly what we need in order to see why we suffer and to change. If God gave you what you wanted, a totally peaceful life, rich, living in your castle with all your servants, whatever it is you dream of, not only would you not become liberated from suffering, you would become worse. Really contemplate that. Really think about that. When those desires are emerging within you, really think about that. If I got that, really honestly, would I become better? No. If you won the lottery, would you really become better? I do not think so. I really doubt it. You have to be your own judge. All right, so that was that. There's some question and answers that this instructor did. So some of them might be interesting. We've gone through some question and answers before on here. So yeah, it could be interesting. But we are at 2 hours, so it's about time for me to wrap it up. Let me see what some of these questions are, and I will take some of your guys' questions as well. If you guys have any last minute things. It has been 2 hours, so I'm going to get out of here and get to work on some other things that I have to do. But, I'm here for the next few minutes. I'm going to read over some of these questions, see if there's anything good in here. Instructor, her leg is being revealed because she's, it's inaudible, so I don't know what their questions are. The scriptures say that the life or soul is in the blood. How do you interpret that? Well, I mean, our blood has our DNA. So, DNA to me, blood has, a really strong thing for me in particular. I think there's a lot of things associated with blood. Blood is, that's why blood is a really fascinating thing. But to me, it also contains DNA. And it has something, just a blueprint of our ancestors and, collective consciousness of our ancestors in it. So I think there is something to blood. I really have a thing about blood. Anyway, let's see if they have anything interesting going on here. I can't see what it's inaudible, the audience, so I don't know what the questions were. But sometimes magic blood, that's right. But sometimes he has something important in his answers, despite not knowing what the questions are. So let me see what it says. The process of alchemy is broken down into many different stages by different alchemists, and there are a variety of terms used to describe those stages. And it depends on which alchemist you are studying and which stage of the work they are addressing in order to interpret those symbols. Sometimes those steps are broken down to 7, 10, 12, 14, many stages, and they all apply to different parts of the work. In general, though, we talk about about a process called putrefaction or blackening. This is what my Negretto piece is about. This is a process in which the heat of the fire, the ego, becomes blackened. The fire accelerates and the decomposition. The fire accelerates the decomposition because when you heat matter, the decomposition is faster. So when we look in the context of our ordeals in life, before you were transmuting your energy, you were suffering a lot. We all suffered. And we suffer from many psychological and circumstantial problems. But when you begin to transmute your sexual energy, your suffering seems to intensify. And that is the process of blackening putrefaction. That happens because when the power of the sexual energy, when it is being harnessed and directed towards the ego, it intensifies all of the experiences of the suffering of that ego. So the suffering seems to get worse because it is, but that is needed in order for those elements to be completely eradicated, eliminated, and broken down. We need that. We need the pressure and heat to crush it so that we can extract the diamonds and gold. So again, it depends on which particular alchemist and which stage becomes that. That comes in many stages. There are stages in the beginning, middle, and end. There are many stages of that. We're going to talk about that in additional lectures, specifically about that. The process of the work in the laboratory is a gathering together of energy in order to direct that energy. Our primary purpose is to completely pulverize all of the impure elements that exist within our psyche. The only way that process can succeed is if we are cognizant of it. In other words, you cannot change your anger if you are unaware of your anger. Some people totally are not seeing themselves for who they are sometimes. You cannot change your pride if you are unaware of your pride. It's so true. So that process of becoming cognizant in your daily life through self-observing and self-remembering and transforming situations the way I explained. But secondly, you cannot succeed in that completely if you are only doing it during the day. At night, you need to meditate on those events and really investigate them more deeply, abandoning this physical body so that you're not distracted by any physical senses and you can go deeper into examination of those elements. In order to pulverize them more accurately, in order to completely reduce it to dust, so that is a process of meditation, and that is a long process. We need to get more into the details of that later. We will get into more of the details of that later. IOD on self-awareness too, screaming memes. Dude, me too. I think I'm neurotic. Like, dude, I sit there and think about my actions and circumstances and things all the time, and then I see other people that like just totally act and don't even think twice about their actions and like start, I don't know. I mean, that's why I didn't like drinking. That's why I went sober, man. I was filled with regret. Every time I drank, the next day I was like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm filled with regret. And everyone's like, why? You were just like normal. I'm like, everything is like, oh my God, how did I act? ODing on self-awareness. Fuck yeah. Anyway, in this image above the bedroom, we see written in Latin, dormens vigila, which means while sleeping, watch. This means that we need to be vigilant at all times, conscious of ourselves. Oh, I love that too. I like that too. I'm going to keep that. Okay. We need to do this while the physical body is sleeping. That is one level. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Where did I go? Okay, we need to do this while the physical body is sleeping. That is one level of meaning of the bed in the back, and some people who have studied this image have realized that it relates to the tradition of dream yoga. This is easy to see, but the deeper meaning is that we are always sleeping because our consciousness is asleep. We have not awakened our consciousness yet. We need to become vigilant. That vigilance is not at one time or another. It is all the time. Dormens vigila means watch how you sleep. Become aware of how you sleep. Awaken, and that is what it says in the gospel. Watch there. See, again, the gospel. Like, The alchemy stuff is totally chill. It's totally Christian. Watch, therefore, for ye know not what your Lord doth come. Wait, okay. Watch, therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. Okay. Matthew 24. Oh, we can hear the audience now. How do the runes fit in with alchemy? Everything about alchemy is based on the runes. If you have studied any of the symbols of alchemy, you'll see that all of these symbols are runic. And I gave you a clever clue here. When you look into the vessel here that shows the man and woman and the Holy Spirit or bird between them, all they are holding the rune Hagal, which we talked about in the previous lecture. Every alchemical symbol, every alchemical stage is based on the runes. The audience member said, is this process the process of Moses leading the Israelites to Jerusalem? The process of alchemy is hidden throughout the Bible. Moses in an alchemical symbol, his name is Moshe, which means born of fire and water. That is what we see here. Fire is below, the water is in the vessel. The one who is born of that is our divinity, our own inner Moshe. So the entire process, every stage of the work of Moses or Moshe is a symbol in alchemy. All of the plagues, all of the works that he performs, all of the magical events that happened, the parting of the waters, the coming of the frogs, all of these things represent stages of working in alchemy. The Israelites are a symbol of the consciousness that is trapped in the ego, slavery, and must be redeemed by the guidance of Moshe, our willpower guided by divinity. Is alchemy something for beginners, and if so, what is the first stage? Truthfully speaking, alchemy is for all human beings. All of us need alchemy. In order to become a true human being, we need it. We are all beginners without exception. The thing that we need in the beginning to study, we need to study the teaching. We need to study it very well. Without a strong foundation and understanding in the teaching in a very comprehensive way, we will very easily be misled by very clever people and very mischievous people. So it is essential in the beginning to study relentlessly and at the same time to begin to incorporate practice at your own level. We can say in some way in the beginning those two pillars, method and wisdom, are a bit out of balance. We do not know how to practice in the beginning. We do not know the method. We do not even know the teaching. So in the beginning, we first have to start by learning the method, by learning the teaching itself, learning how it works, the theory, concept, word, language, how it works. Little by little, we need to add practice as well so that they nourish each other. This is very important. Establish that equilibrium between the two. Part that is to learn to recognize the realities about yourself, to be sincere, be honest with yourself. This type of work is not social and has nothing to do with any group. Unfortunately, some people make it into something social. They believe their spirituality can only succeed if they have a social group. There is a need for the Shanga or spiritual community. It is one of the three fundamental jewels or aspects of any real spirituality. But ultimately, the real community is not in the physical world. The real community, or Shanga, is in the internal worlds. You do not need to be too worried about the physical part. We should not be focused on the social aspects of our spirituality. We should be focused on the psychological aspects within ourselves. Be honest, be sincere, look at yourself and see what you really are, and do not hide from yourself. It is painful to see our impurities. It is very painful. Do not avoid it. If you avoid something painful, you let it get worse, and it will kill you. And the same is true spiritually, especially spiritually. If you avoid looking into your psychological and spiritual pain, you will never succeed in this work. That's why the phrase on the drawing says, "Learn to die well." We need to look into the face of those things that hurt us, and they won't hurt us anymore. It is not an easy thing to do, but it must be done. Let me see where you guys are at. Okay, you're just talking about Moses and shit. Where is Lucifer in the laboratory? Lucifer is everything in the laboratory. Okay, so this may freak people out. Okay, here. Where's Lucifer in the laboratory? Lucifer is ever in the laboratory. He is the laboratory itself. Lucifer is a Latin phrase which means the carrier of light. Lucifer is the one who makes it possible for this work to be done. Lucifer, in other words, is the heat of the fire. Lucifer is the boiling of water. Lucifer is this rising of the steam. Okay, that's going to freak people out. All am I talking about? Everything is good as the light. But actually, Lucifer means bringer of light. So he's not actually like all that bad. It's not Satan. It's not the same thing as like Satan or the devil. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You just need a little bit more like study and understanding on a deeper level, and not just like taking what you see from movies and basic bitch Catholicism. Anyway, when you look into the symbol of alchemy, we see that always that the stages related to the disintegration of the ego are a process of putrefaction, decay. So we see many images of corpses, of black ravens, and animals eating corpses, things like that. Just something called the caput mortem. So you'll see like a skull. It's called the dead head. It's a similar thing that they're talking about. Ravens, stuff like that. Dead head, caput mortem, things like that. Lucifer is that process. Properly said, Lucifer is the one who orchestrates the ordeals around us so that we see ourselves for what we are. So in the early part of the lecture, when I was saying that the being is the one who is giving you your ordeals, it is that aspect of the being, Lucifer. Nowadays, we think Lucifer as evil, Satan, but that is inaccurate. Okay, thank the Lord he's getting there. This was a misinterpretation made by the Catholic churches centuries ago that they never corrected. But it is easy to see because in ancient times, even the bishops and popes were named Lucifer. It was not always a negative name. They made it into something negative because of a political squabble. A translator of the Bible, Jerome, was fighting with a bishop named Lucifer. So he changed the Bible to say, "O thou Lucifer, how thou art fallen," because he was talking about a bishop that he did not like. Ever since then, we have been hearing that Lucifer is Satan, but that is not true. Lucifer is an aspect of Christ. So, interesting. Lucifer is a pretty metal name. Lucifer is a pretty badass name, not gonna lie. Which alchemical book is the best? Well, honestly, the best alchemical book is yourself. Everything you need to know about alchemy is in your psychological makeup, but you cannot learn about that unless you have guidance and instruction. The best place you will find that is the book of Genesis, the Bible, but not the English, in Hebrew. The second place is the book of Revelation, but not in English, in Greek. Okay? Bible. Tells you the best book on alchemy is the Bible. The other places that you will find it are in the scriptures of Tantra, such as Kala Chakra. Tantra is just Sanskrit name for alchemy. It is the same tradition. In fact, if you investigate the secret writings and great tantric masters, you will finally use the same terminology. Tsongkhapa spoke often of the foundation stone, transmutation, and the philosopher's stone. These traditions from the East and West are actually one tradition. In this tradition, the 6 yogas of Naropa, the expressions, the inner heat, the foundation stone is well known. This is because in the completion stage yogas, one uses in the completion state yogas one uses the inner heat technology from the very beginning in order to collect the subtle life sustaining energies into the central channel and thereby arouse the innate great bliss. This is the actual basis upon which all practices rely upon, which all later completion stage yogas are founded. This inner heat doctrine establishes this basis. The practice of the inner heat doctrine entails directing the life-sustaining energies into the central channel. Here the energies enter, abide, and are dissolved. When one trains well in this technique, the strength of the experience has the power to control over the loss of the body mind, the sexual. I don't know what the fuck. These quotes are always like retarded. Then, based on this power, one can rely upon the sexual consort as a conductive condition to arouse the four blisses. On this foundation, innate bliss is aroused. Arousing this innate bliss is the purpose of the practice of the inner heat yoga and Karmanju. The other important book on the tradition of alchemy is the Emerald Tablet, which we've talked about before, which is which was presented to humanity by Hermes, the god Thoth of Egypt. So those are the most important treatises of alchemy, and below that are hundreds more, and they are all interesting. But let me point out something important. The truth about alchemy is that you will not find it in the past. The past is dead. The past is gone. The past is a rotting corpse. Do not waste your time sifting through dusty, mistranslated books. The trust of alchemy is found here and now in your heart by prayer to God, and in your life by practicing the principles that are now openly available. That is where you will find it. The texts are interesting, and we need to study the teachings, and we need to understand the principles, but do not be distracted longing for the past. Oh, I do that all the time. Or trying to uncover secrets from the past. I do that all the time, because you will not. Everything in the past was hidden and is already dead. Why dig up an old corpse just to pick through its bones? The living truth of alchemy is burning inside of you now. It is the fire of your divine mother who is waiting to awaken. If you have the courage to do it. That is the courage to face yourself as you are and to change and to take your energy and use it better, to awaken, to transmute yourself. Then you will find the reality of alchemy. You won't need all those old books. You won't need dusty papers and stale concepts, and to memorize old terms and theories and images, because you will see that it is all just dust. The living, vibrating reality of alchemy is waiting for you inside your heart right now, but you have to have the courage to look and to use it. All right, guys. Wow, 2.5 hours. So, William, thank you for being in here. Quite interesting commentary tonight. Very good teachings. Makes one think. Everyone wants a happy life. You are on the right path. Stay focused. Oh, thank you so much, William. By the way, I love the name William. It's in my comic book. It's named after my late ex-step-grandfather. And they all lived happily together. Oh, wait, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. That's right. Okay, Seth, we'll do. We're watching Martina slowly turn into Alan Moore with all this tantric alchemy stuff. If she starts worshiping the Theophidian, the snake, we'll have to intervene. Okay, sorry. sorry. Renaissance man, where are you from? What does that mean? What does that mean? My bloodline, where am I from, is I'm Croatian, so I'm very Dinaric, from the Dinaric Alps, very Caucasian. But I'm from the, I almost gave it away. It's not hard to find out, but I'm from upstate New York a bit, from the country, and I'm currently in New York City. That's where I'm from. Okay, guys, that was really fun. That was 2.5 hours. We went through the laboratory of the Alchemist. Laboratory of the Alchemist. Yeah, so I skipped a stream yesterday, so I will stream tomorrow, which I normally do not do, and I will make up for the outer alchemy. Speaking of the Alchemist laboratory, or laboratory of the Alchemist, tomorrow we'll do the outer alchemy work, which usually requires a laboratory. So, anyway, fun stuff, guys. See you around. See ya tomorrow.